I'm Art, and what I'm going to do in this video is show you how to make a raised bed. Now, you may have heard of raised bed, you may have even seen some or even made one. A lot of times raised beds are really just two logs with some sticks laid across it just to get you up off the ground, but it's really not very comfortable. I mean, you're kind of laying on a bunch of sticks. So what I'm going to do in this video is show you how to make what I might call even a raised cot. It's going to have, where you lay on is actually going to be kind of soft and not going to be, like feeling like you're laying on a bunch of sticks. So how we're going to do that is we're going to make our like mattress area out of these feed bags. Now what this is, you may have seen old burlap bags. I haven't found that they make them anymore. What they did instead was they've gone to these weaved plastic bags, which are really strong. I mean, these bags hold 50, 100 pounds, whatever. This one holds 50 pounds. So it's a pretty strong weave in there. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this as our laying surface. So, first thing we want to do is we want to build our frame. So, what I've done here is I've gone out and I've found a few sticks. Now I found some nice strong dead wood. You can use green wood for this. It will last a little bit longer. Depends on what you're doing with this. You may be doing this in just out for a couple nights and want to have a softer place to sleep, or it might be something at a camp that you have that you make a more permanent settlement. So what I have is for the head part here, where I'm going to lay my head and my torso is going to be, I picked some thicker sticks for this because that's where the bulk of my weight's going to be. So what we need to do is we need to drive these into the ground at an angle. Now, if you're out, sure, you can use a rock or whatever to pound this in. I brought a hammer with me just for this video. I don't normally carry this with me out there, but it should make this a little easier. Now what I also did was I kind of have a short, thicker piece of wood. It's about the same thickness as the stakes I'm going to put into the ground, but instead of doing all of the pounding on the top of my sticks and possibly splitting them out, what I'm going to do is I use this to get a hole started where I need it, and then I'll pound my stick in the rest of the way. So we're going to just put one in here, and I'm going to I'll show you. I'll hold these up. What we want to do is we want to cross these, and we want to have a pretty steep angle. And you'll see why when we get to that, when we get a little further along here. But for right now, what we want is we want to have a pretty steep angle down in here. We want to drive these into the ground. What I like to do is I'll drive one in first, then I'll drive the other one in so that it matches up and crosses, and then we're going to lash these together just for some added support. We're also going to I have a nice Y stick here. What we're going to do is I'm going to kind of angle this back a little bit, and then we're going to use this to support it back this way and to hold it up. Now, while we're on this subject here of Y stick, I want to explain the difference to you. Now, this is what I call a V stick. As you can see, the top comes off to the sides, and it looks like a big V. Now, the problem with this is whenever I am talking about a Y stick, or even sometimes I do still say a V stick. But what I want is, I want something that's like this, that one angle, or one side of this is straight, and then the other side comes off at an angle from it, just like a branch would come off of a limb. Not this, because when I go to pound on this, the only way that I can really pound this straight in the ground is to hit it right here. If I start pounding on this right here, you know what's going to happen? It's just going to split right in half. So, this might be nice for when you're, fishing at the river or whatever, and it's nice and muddy, and you just have to push it in. You can lay your rod on there. Perfect. Out in the woods, whenever we're talking about a V stick or a Y stick, this is what we want to avoid. We want to make sure that we get one that is straight up and down, so that we have a place to pound, and just has a limb or a branch coming off of the side. So, like I said, I'm going to pound these in at a pretty steep angle. So what I can do is I can put them here, I can get them where I want, can have a little, I push it in the ground a little bit to mark my spot, because I'm going to use my pounding stick or my post hole digger kind of first. And what I did was, I sharpened these to a little bit of a point, but you don't want to go to like a spear point because it's just going to break off when you pound it into the ground. And then I also like to kind of, take off a little bit around the edge on the pounding part. I think it holds together a little better and it doesn't split as easily. So I have my mark here. Basically, I'm just pounding this in. And you can use a longer piece. It doesn't really matter. This is kind of just what I found. And like I said, really what it did was it just kind of got a hole started for me. So I don't have to pound on my stick any more than I have to because I don't want to break it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this one in here. Like I said, you know, you could be out using a rock for this. It's just going to take you a lot longer to do. I do want to make sure that's pretty secure in the ground. I think these sticks that I have are just about the right length till I get some of it secured down into the ground. So I'm going to work on the other side now. And you can always double check here. You know, I marked a spot. I want to make sure that these are crossing and that I leave enough room that I can lash around this. Once I get them in there, there's no problem with me holding down on this while I lash it. Like I said, I just really need a little bit of an end sticking out while I lash this together. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to lash these two together. I'm going to do that first before I put my Y stick on here to hold these. Now for me, I like to use bank line, which is just a tarred nylon twine. Whenever I do my lashings, I just think it kind of sticks to itself and it makes it a lot tighter lashing, I think. But you can use paracord or twine or whatever you have available. Now what I'm going to do here, since these sticks aren't perpendicular to each other, I can't use a square lashing. So what I'm going to use is what's called a diagonal lashing, which all I'm going to do is come through here, and after, you know, I'm going to hold down on this because I'm off a little bit there. But you'll see that once I get the first one started, I can kind of hold it there. So I'm just going to go using diagonal lashing. Now, this is supporting my weight as a bed, so I'm going to go an extra turn. So I'm going to go 4 times around here, and then I'm going to switch, and I'm going to also go this way, diagonal around this. Once again, we'll go 4 times, and then I'm going to actually pull some out here. I'm going to cut this off because I find when you do your frappings, it's a little easier if you're not trying to fit this whole ball of twine through here. So now I'm going to do my frappings. Same way, I'm going to do a little extra one. I'm going to pull these really tight. And then I'm just going to finish this off with my clove hitch. As you can see, I have plenty of twine here, plenty of cordage. If you're low on cordage, then naturally you're going to want to, you know, do what you have to do with the amount that you have. So now that I have this, so remember we picked a Y stick with a nice straight spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the part that's leaning out, and that's what part I'm going to stick in here. I'm going to kind of pull this up, and I'm going to push it down into the ground. But now what this gives me too is I am able to pound this in a little bit, and as this leans against it, it's going to hold right into there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head down here to the other end. I'm going to do the same thing that I did here. I just have some thinner sticks that I'm using down there because it's just on the foot end of this bed. So just give me a minute or two. I'm going to head down here and do the same thing. Now while I'm doing this, I also want to make sure I'm keeping these in line, you know, because the sticks that I'm using or the logs I'm using for the sides of this, I want to keep kind of straight in here. So I'm kind of eyeing this up as I'm doing this. And also trying to keep, you know, my part where these sticks cross, keep them kind of in line also. So I think I have some good starts there. Now, these are smaller, and this stick's a little bigger, so I'm not going to pound it in as deep. And the earth here is pretty soft too, so this went pretty well when I was pounding those other ones in. And you can also start You know, I started one, now I can start the other one and kind of see where I need to be. See where I need to be with these by doing them, you know, at the same time. So here I go. I'm going to lash these together. You're pretty much going to have to lash these together. I don't really think they're going to stay very well if you don't lash them. So just make sure that you do lash these up. Same thing, I'm going to come through with a diagonal lashing. And once I get my first one, I'm going to place this where I need it, pull pretty tight on it, and then it should stay wherever I have it. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to wrap this 4 times this way. I'm going to come in the other way. I'm going to wrap it 4 times this way. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do 3 or 4 frappings here. I'm going to try to pull this really tight, keep it in place. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to finish this off with a clove hitch. I'm going to do the same thing I did on that side with my Y stick here. I'm going to take the end that's straight that I can pound on. I'm going to keep that up, and I'm going to fit this one in. I'm going to hold this back, and I'm just going to kind of pound this in. And I think it's you know, it's kind of loose right now, but once we put the bed on it, put the frame on it, and lay on, I think our weight is going to press this together. But we could lash this on if we felt that we needed to. If we thought that things were going to come apart. I'm not going to do that right now. We'll just kind of see how this goes. So now that we have that part done, and I guess one part I forgot to tell you was what I did was I had marked out a spot where I wanted this. So here are my poles that I'm going to use for the lengthways of my frame. And what I did was I got them, you know, about a foot taller than I am. That way I'm going to have 6 inches overhang on each of these. And what I did was I laid them out on the ground, and I basically marked off 6 inches in from the end. And that's how I decided where to put my angled sticks in the ground. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our bag, and what we need to do is cut a little hole on each of these ends up here to feed our sticks in. Now I'm going to basically try to do this, make as small a hole as possible, because I don't want these bags to rip out any more than they have to fit my sticks in. So I'm going to go ahead and just do one at a time on this end. You can see how I did that. I just cut a small hole in there and slid my stick through. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to cut a hole here again on the other side. And I want to make sure that I don't go through both sides of this. I'm only cutting through the top part of this. And like I said, just making a real small hole. Then I'm going to feed my other stick through on this side. Looks like I need to make it just a little bit bigger here. Now I did also, the longer sticks that I'm using, I made them about the same length It just makes it a little easier when you're putting the bed together then. So I have one side on. I'm going to need to do the other side. Since it's already together, I'm going to have to do both at the same time. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm careful to make sure that I don't cut through both sides of this bag when I'm cutting my slice into it. And also want to be careful I don't cut my fingers either. So I just get a little slice started, and then I can make it, just a little bit bigger. I'm going to come over here on the other side. I'm going to do the same thing. And I don't want to cut the whole way out to the edge either. I don't want this bag ripping on the bottom side. Once you get it started, it's pretty easy to enlarge it as you need it. Now, I might find it might be a little bit easier for me to work off to the side here. Hopefully I'm not out of the camera range, but I'm going to put this other bag on off to the side. So, same thing on this side. Just going to feed this through. Yeah, like I said, but I didn't do, you actually need to do them both at the same time. Once you get to this end, it's a little bit easier to do it like that. Now, like I said earlier, these kind of replace burlap bags, but if you still have burlap bags, they'll work just fine for this also. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of pull these in. Just remember, I'm going to have 6 inches hanging out off of each side. So I'm going to pull these in together. And we'll worry about straightening these up after we get this set up. So here we go. We have our 2 bags on here. So now what we're going to do, we're going to spread these apart. We're going to put them over top of the X's that we created. Now, what's going to happen here with these X's that we created is, as I lay down on this, my weight is going to push this down and is going to spread this out. And the longer pieces here are just going to go down on the X's, and they're going to keep getting wider and wider, and that's what's going to hold me together. So I'm going to give this a try. Now I will say that I did pick some dead wood when I did this, and I have been skipped going to the gym for quite a while here. So hopefully these sticks will hold me up. I don't have any fear of the bags not holding me up. I'm just a little worried that maybe my sticks are going to break, but we'll give it a shot. So, there you have our improvised cot for in the woods. I would put some leaves underneath this to add some insulation to stop the air flowing from underneath of me. You could even, I guess you could fill these with leaves too and turn it from a cot into an actual mattress and add yourself some padding there, some cushioning. So there you go. That's about all I have for you. Okay, have a great day.